Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome wherever you're joining us from to USA Global TV, and welcome to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the power of etiquette and manners. And since I've been doing this show with Mr. Philip Sykes, I've learned that etiquette is so much more than what I thought it was. Let's bring him out. He is the principal of the British School of Excellence. Welcome, Philip.
Joy. Hello, Dr. Jacalyn, and hello to all the wonderful listeners out there, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome and Happy New Year. This is the first show we're doing this year, so Happy New Year to everyone, wherever you are.
Yes, Happy New Year. And Philip, we had a great show on Monday. It's hard to believe that the launch for USA Global TV was just this week. It seems like it was so long ago.
Absolutely. What a fantastic launch. And, you know, Dr. Jacalyn, along with your co-host there, Al, I listened with such intrigue, and I learned so much. As you know, I've always got a pen and paper at my disposal when I engage with any form of anything like this. It's just, you pick up so many golden nuggets. And not only that, you get to meet some unbelievable people in this world through your platforms and all the amazing work that you're doing. So I thought it was a fantastic launch.
Thank you so much, Philip. And we couldn't have done it without you. And you are a fantastic team member. And I'm just so proud of everyone. So thank you for all your contributions and your professionalism.
It's a joy to be involved and to be alongside you, Dr. Jacalyn, on this amazing journey.
Well, we've got a wonderful guest that you've brought backstage. But before we bring him out, I really would like for anyone who's joining us the first time to have them understand what it is that you do there at the British School of Excellence. So I'm going to spotlight you, and let's hear a little bit more, Philip.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. So someone asked me the other day, what do you do? And I said, well, I can't give you a 30-second elevator pitch because you would lose me and I would lose you in a few seconds. So these days, everybody out there, you need a quick, sharp-shooting 5-second pitch. And you just asked me that question. We change people's lives by giving them the confidence to be everything that they can be. Now, here at the British School of Excellence, we focus on helping you put your best foot forward. We help you absolutely build your confidence wherever you may be in your life. And that is through starting with youngsters, our ETIQUETTE program from 6 to 11-year-olds, then the mindset manners with our teenagers, giving them some quintessential tools for the next stage and level in life. We then jump into areas of the polished professional or the polished graduate, if you'd like to call it that, where we give you those unbelievable skills in business etiquette, business excellence, and giving you that ability to really put your best foot forward. Here at the organization, we really are looking at ways of how we can give you the opportunity to open doors. And through that, we surround ourselves with amazing coaches and people with incredible expertise. And hence why we have this incredible guest and dear friend of mine joining us in a short while. So here at the British School of Excellence, whether it be etiquette, manners, your emotional intelligence, customer service, customer excellence, all of those areas we focus on with huge passion and with very, very strong conviction. And we can absolutely put our money where our mouth is. So if anyone out there listening who want to engage with us, I always say this, feel free to pick up the phone or book a complimentary call with any one of us. And we would love to take you on a journey and give you some understanding of really how we can help you elevate yourselves and take yourself to that next level.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Philip. Really appreciate that. And so I'll ask you to provide the contact information again later, but for people who can't see the banner, they're listening on the radio, what is the best way to contact you?
Firstly, the website, www.thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. From there, you can go to all our socials. Our YouTube has got some very valuable content, including the past shows that Dr. Jacalyn and I have shared. But many of our webinars and wonderful little golden nuggets and tools are featured on our YouTube channel. And then if you want to reach out via email, hello@thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. And I'm always open to anyone wanting to engage on WhatsApp. And that number is +44 780 885 9914.
Thank you so much, Philip. And for people who are interested in seeing our past shows, please do go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and you can look for playlists and you'll see there the power of etiquette and manners.
And in
Philip,
that, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, Dr. Jacalyn, cut you short. In that, really, genuinely, there is so many opportunities for you to grow and learn. And if you are prepared to make the time and put the time aside, give yourself 10, 15 minutes each day to do a mind feed, and you'll be amazed at what you will achieve by the end of the year.
And I would say that your family and friends and colleagues will thank you for. Philip, you were sharing with me backstage with our guest, Rob, that you two have been friends for 50 plus years. What an accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a genuine friendship, Dr. Jacalyn. This is a friendship that, honestly, we've been in and out of each other's lives as family friends for that length of time. It's extraordinary.
Why don't you do the honor of introducing Mr. Rob Fleming?
Certainly, it'd give me a great pleasure. So, as you've all heard, Rob is a very dear, long-standing friend of mine. But not only that, he's a phenomenal business person from having spent a huge amount of time in the corporate world. Rob, did an incredible amount of time with training and coaching and going to university. But he did Unilever for a period of time. He then went on to South African breweries. And for some of those of you out there who are not familiar with South African breweries, if not, I think it's one of the largest brewing organizations in the world. It's global. And then Rob went on from there to work for an organization. He was headhunted to head up, an operation which was basically to do with telecommunications called Blue Label Telecoms. And he was chief marketing officer. And he was there to introduce a culture of customer centricity across both business to business and business to the customer. And I think Rob has always had this urge to really take himself to a different level and go out there and work with organizations that really resonate with his vision, his focus, his philosophy, but not only that, organizations that he know that he can reach out and help. And he shifted himself off to spend some time, I would like to use the word as an understudy. I'm not going to steal Rob's thunder, in the USA. And he's launched an organization called Incrementum. And I'll again let Rob give you a little bit of a thumbnail sketch of the word, what Incrementum really stands for. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Rob Fleming into the show. Welcome, Rob.
Welcome, Rob. Hi.
Good afternoon from a very sunny and warm Africa. It's great to be here. Thank you for your warm welcome, Phil and Dr. Jacalyn. What a privilege to be on your show.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure to have you. So, Rob, I just would like to start off not knowing you for 50 years. I see behind you those two beautifully framed shirts. Can you share a little bit about that for our audience?
Yeah, with pleasure. I had the great privilege of working for a wonderful South African organization, SA South African Breweries. And during my time there, we went from operating in 4 countries to 75 countries, and we became the biggest brewery in the world. And in the process, we acquired Miller, which obviously your audience will be very familiar with. And I fulfilled several marketing roles in my time there, and ended up being the global head of sponsorship across the world. And so I met some amazing people, had some amazing experiences. And those two shirts there that you can see, unfortunately, the green one is a Springbok rugby jersey, and you can't see the writing on it. But I've had every captain from 1995 to the current sign it for me. And the one on the yellow one, I should say, because I'm not sure which way it's left or right here, but we had a wonderful coach here called Carlos Pereira, and a great man who's won 2 FIFA World Cups, the 1970 and the 1994 World Cups. And he came to coach South Africa, and we became great friends. And that's his shirt from the opening match of the World Cup against Mexico. And a personalized note. I could move my screen around, Dr. Jacalyn, but probably one of my prized pieces of memorabilia comes from one of the most loved sportsmen in the world. And if I had to say to you, do you know which sportsman goes by the brand name of RF?
I do. Mr. Fed Express.
It's Roger Federer. And
love Roger Federer.
Well, we all do, and you know that he's half South African. Very few people know that. His mother is an Afrikaans woman from Johannesburg. And anyway, he's written me a jersey that says, "To the real RF, Rob Fleming. Best wishes, Roger Federer." And I don't want to mess my camera up here, but I could angle my computer.
We'd love to see it.
Shall I do that?
Sure, why not?
All right. We're much more accepting these days. So that's a Barcelona shirt, which has been signed by Messi. That's a British Lions and Springbok wingback chair, which the British Lions gave to me. And then that's the Springbok jersey up there, which is signed by Federer, saying, "To the real RF, Rob Fleming." And then that was
congratulations.
the picture down there is of him playing in Cape Town.
Now, where were you when he gave you the shirt?
Now, a friend of mine has coached him in his career. He's a South African, and he had it. He wanted to give me a gift for some stuff I'd done for him. So he came back from the US once and said, "I've got something for you." And I nearly fell over when he handed over that Federer signed shirt.
Now that really says something. So for all of you, including me out there, when you're giving something to somebody, a gift card might not be the best option, right? You have that gift that will stay with you forever and really mean something significant.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is many people buy memorabilia around the world, and you can buy anything you want. But for me, all the stuff I've got is personalized. So it says "To Rob," you know, it doesn't have any financial value then, because no one wants to buy it, but it has huge personal value.
It's beautiful. You know, there's so much that we could talk about here on the show. And Philip, I don't want to steal your thunder. I do have one question, then I'll defer to Philip if that's okay. So when you were giving your backgrounds, you know, you sort of just said it so casually. Well, we acquired Miller, which is, you know, a huge undertaking. So can you share with our audience, what were some of the key takeaways from that incredible experience?
So if you look back to the origins of South Africa, many of our ancestors, who were primarily British, Dutch, German, and French, came here with pretty much the shirts on their backs. And to have had that courage to have gone out to Africa and going to this place where you just didn't know where you were going, which was harsh, tough, and in some places violent, it produced, it required a real pioneering spirit. And when I joined SAB after having been at Unilever, which was a far more established global organization, what really struck me was that sort of can-do pioneering spirit of SAB. And I think one of the great words that describes my SAB ancestors, if I can call them that, my predecessors, is that although South Africa was trapped in apartheid South Africa, many businesses remained static, and whereas the SAB business leaders were very curious, and they spent their time going around the world speaking to the great brewers of the world, the Heinekens and the Anheuser-Busch's, learning what first world and excellence looked like, and came back and brought that first world excellence and level into a third world environment. And so we almost developed a situation where no one could touch us. Any brewery who came to look at Africa gave up when they walked in and saw this incredible stranglehold that we had over the South African brewing industry. So we started to grow very slowly around the fringes of South Africa, you know, Lesotho, Swaziland, Namibia, those kinds of countries. But with the fall of apartheid and of the Berlin Wall in the, you know, sort of in the late 80s, early 90s, we took the opportunity of growing into emerging market economies, particularly Africa up front. And many of the breweries that we bought there had been owned by communist governments and hadn't been run well. So we moved in with this first world excellence and took these breweries to new heights. And similarly, we went into Central Eastern Europe as well, taking over breweries in Czech, Warsaw, or Poland, Hungary, Romania, all those sorts of countries. And then by the time I'd left SAB, we had ventured out into South America as well. We'd bought Miller in America. We'd bought the biggest brewery in Australia. We had the biggest brewery in China. So we were serious players. And what was fascinating about it was when we were in 43 countries, 40 were run by South Africans with that pioneering spirit that I referred to. So I was a very lucky young man to grow, to be part of that global expansion. And it took me to the most interesting countries, not just to work in the office, but also to go and watch sport across the world and to travel with our national teams, two of which as jerseys are behind me.
What an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. It's a wonderful story. And in fact, I always used to think while I was living it and being so privileged to be there, that this will be one of the great case studies in every business school in the world. When I joined there, I think our market cap, these are rands, so it means sometimes doesn't mean much, but the numbers are what counts. It was worth 50 billion. And when it was sold for 1.4 trillion, just 20 years later. So, wonderful growth and, driven by the South African spirit. And curiosity.
Incredible feeling to be part of that. This
was a privilege, great privilege. I was a lucky little boy.
Oh, super. Dr. Jacalyn, this is exactly why Rob is so well positioned doing what he's doing now with Incrementum as an organization, because of this incredible global experience, this reach, and obviously all the people that Rob had to work with, work under, work for, people that he met on his global travels, and the sports teams and the leaders of those sports teams that were, Rob was in many of the changing rooms when these chaps were having team meetings before they go out into the field. And it was about 2.5 years ago, or no, 3 years ago, Rob, that you took yourself off to America, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, with this fascination of how do these best businesses in the world operate? How do the best teams in the world operate? And firstly, Rob, I'd love you to share with the audience the name that you have named your organization, Incrementum.
Well, I was lying on the beach with my wife in Mauritius, and we were staying in a hotel called Lux, and she said to me, "What's the Lux mean?" So I said, "Well, having studied Latin, it means it's a Latin word for light." And at this stage, I was planning my exit from my job and wanting to start my own business. So she said, "Well, if you love Latin so much, why don't you use a Latin name to name your business?" So I said, "What a great idea." She said, what would the English word be?" And I said, "It's growth." Now, unfortunately, I haven't done Latin since first year at university. So I had to Google it. And when I Googled growth in Latin, up came the word incrementum. And so that was how my little business Incrementum was born.
And that's such a fascinating journey and story, because as an organization, as we've morphed from the British School of Etiquette into the British School of Excellence, one of our strap lines was grow, master the rules, grow and succeed. And everything in life is about growth. If everything's about movement, everything's about energy. If we stop moving, if we stop breathing, we're going to die. So everything is about growth. We've got to grow every single day, even if it's in small little increments. And this is the power of what Rob is doing now with amazing organizations out there. And we as an organization, Rob and I are working on some projects that are in the pipeline to work with organizations because we are so beautifully aligned. And many, many years ago, I was sharing with Rob, talking of Mauritius. We ran a program for Barclays Bank in Mauritius, and the title of the program was Hospitality in Banking. And I was very fortunate to go out there and spend 3 days with actually a very dinosaur setup. Unfortunately, a lot of the people working there, it was almost their job for life. They hadn't shifted, they hadn't moved on. It was same old, why should we change mindset? There wasn't any vision or focus on growth. It was a job. And, you know, as all of us know, and Rob hopefully may share a story about, you know, his experience with his bank on a personal level versus his bank on a business level for a start. The second thing that, why we are so beautifully aligned, is that we said this is similar language, or identical language that we both speak from the two organizations. And Rob also took a leap of faith. He jumped out of the aircraft and he built his parachute on the way down. He went off to the USA and ensconced himself, firstly, huge investment, but also taking time out to work with a very dynamic individual who is known by Danny Meyer, a USA, New York restaurateur extraordinaire. So Rob, over to you a little bit on how, you know, this sort of really kick-started what you're doing.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, you know, I love sport, and I love using sporting analogies. And Dr. Jacalyn, I presume you've got a global audience listening. So let's use some examples. If you had to look at the great West Indian side under Clyde Lloyd in the 1980s, if you look at Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls, look at Richie McCaw's All Blacks, at Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, and if you studied all of them and discovered a pattern that they were all doing and was unique to them, no one else was doing, you'd be crazy not to follow it, or to certainly study it and try and emulate it. And I love excellence. I'm fascinated by it, having had the privilege of working with some of these elite sportsmen around the world and seeing what they did to win. So I started reading up about the greatest businessmen in the world, and most of the time they're American, and some Americans many Americans have provided huge inspiration for me. And the first one, I guess, was the one we all know and love, is Jeff Bezos. And I always like interviews from a long time ago. It's easy to be clever after the fact. And in 1999, before the dot-com bubble burst, he was interviewed on CNBC. And the context for the interview was quite interesting, because he had just built 6 warehouses across the US, big monster warehouses. And the guy said to him, "Why are you building warehouses? You're an online bookseller." And he said, "No, it's irrelevant. At Amazon, we obsess about only one thing." So the interviewer then says to him, "But surely you need your investors need to know what industry you're in. You know, what do you do? They need to pigeonhole you and put you in a box." And he said, no, he cut the guy short, and he said, "No." He said, "Investors shouldn't be investing in me because I obsess about the end-to-end customer experience." And he says, in the long term, there's never any misalignment between shareholder interest and customer interest. And so the very kind of core of my business is based on what he calls the end-to-end customer experience. And just to slightly elaborate on end-to-end, what do you mean by that? Because often we define our relationship with our customers is fairly narrow and transactional when we see them or when we transact. But in fact, there's a much greater depth and breadth to our interactions and relationships with our customers. So, for example, Dr. Jacalyn, if I say to you and Philip, let's go and watch a baseball game, the first thing is, where do we get the fixture list? Where do we buy tickets? And what's that experience like? I don't want to drop anyone, but I can tell you I couldn't find the fixture list for a major event quite recently. I had to phone a coach of the team to find out, where this particular team was playing. So, is it easy to find out the fixtures? What's it like to buy a ticket? The person you're buying from in the shop, can they tell you how the stadium's configured, where the sun is, where's the best view? How do you get there? Where do you park? Do security harass you when you walk through the door? Can we buy an ice cold beer within 5 seconds? Is it a dignified experience for the ladies when you walk into the toilet? That's often not the case. Can I find my seat up at the top? Is there a rush, a stampede after the game? When I get outside, is my car still there? etc., until I get home. And that's the end-to-end experience. And if you have friction points along that journey, you can lose your customers. So it's absolutely essential to know the full end-to-end experience. And this is what Jeff Bezos has done absolutely outstandingly well. So in addition to that, I've distilled the customer experience down to 3 quality requirements. And those are, firstly, it's got to be relevant. And that means it's meeting a customer need. And that's typically delivered by your product. If you buy a book, it's it's a very interesting book. It meets your expectations. Secondly, was it a frictionless experience, as I've just explained to you? And that's typically delivered by your service. Now, many businesses think service is the holy grail, but I don't believe that it is. And I'll give you an example of that, and I equate it to a road. When you're driving along a beautiful, smooth road, you don't turn to your passenger and say, what an amazing road this is. You just take it for granted. And that's what great service is. Great service is something you take for granted. It's only when there's a pothole in the road that you get grumpy with it. And that's what I call bad service. And so that leads me to the third dimension of customer experience. And that is, how do we make ourselves different and better and unique to everybody else? And so how do you create differentiation or distinctiveness? And the only way that I believe you can do that on a sustainable basis, because as this inspiration who I'll introduce now said, the shelf life of innovation is 5 seconds. You come up with a great product, someone's going to copy it in 5 minutes. Someone else can also be very efficient and deliver your product to you very quickly. And so in all my readings, I stumbled across this incredible man called Danny Meyer. And he might be very familiar to many of you in the US, but certainly I'd never heard of him. And when I introduce him to my clients, no one's ever heard of him here either. And he owns a group of restaurants. They're all bespoke restaurants. It's not a chain per se. If I remember correctly, there are 19 restaurants. And he competes with 26,000 restaurants in New York City, making it virtually impossible to stand out. They're all proverbially selling medium rare steaks and red wine. And so it's very, very difficult to stand out. But this guy has done exactly that. He's defied the odds. And in New York, you guys measure your restaurants by not just which is the best one, but which is the most loved one, which is New York's favorite restaurant. And he was judged to own New York's most loved restaurant, not for 1 year, but for 16 years in a row. And he owned number 1 and 2 for 12 years in a row, which by my standards is a freakish performance in without a doubt, the most competitive environment in the world. And he's done this. He's achieved this remarkable feat with one word, and he calls it hospitality. And before I even describe hospitality, it's so important that it's not what you think it is. Hospitality is not just for restaurants or a corporate suite at a football game or a bed in a lodge when you go on safari, but rather it's the most powerful business strategy, which Danny Meyer says is very rarely educated at business schools or found in or any business book. And to explain it clearly, an important distinction to establish is the difference between service and hospitality. Service is about technical excellence. It's about the delivery of your product. And it's something that can be increasingly automated with technology, but importantly can also be copied. Hospitality, on the other hand, is about creating human connections with your customers, the outcome of which is how you make them feel. And what Danny Meyer says is nobody can copy how I make someone feel. So I'm going to invest heavily in that hospitality experience. And that's how he's delivered this differentiated performance against all his competitors in New York City. So that is the basis on which I help my clients achieve competitive advantage, which in turn delivers sustainable, profitable growth for the business.
Rob, thank you so much for all those gems. I'm actually rethinking the way I'm doing business. I'm going to incorporate some of those things that you just shared. By the way, I have been to Grand Mercy Tavern in New York. So,
That's it.
yes.
That's it. That's his flagship. And yeah, and I think he's got 19 restaurants, if I remember correctly. But as Philip said, he runs a course in New York where hospitality is not just about connecting with people. It's actually about, there's some real science behind it. And he's learned this through 35 years of doing work there. And he teaches you the principles, the 3 pillars on which he establishes a great hospitality experience. And so I flew myself across there to go and attend his course. And, this guy is without a doubt one of the most inspirational businessmen I've ever met.
How do we find out about his course? Is it easy to find out?
Well, it's called, it's on his website. So his company is called Union Square Hospitality Group. And the course is called Creating Raves, which is obviously rave reviews. And it was just a great privilege to attend the course and to meet the great man.
Thank you. We do have a comment. I just want to welcome. We have a new viewer, Rashid Branch, tuning in for the first time, and it's nice to meet you, good people. So we'll be in touch with you. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you.
Super. Thanks, Rashid. And Dr. Jacalyn, you can see the alignment of the power of what Rob is, the material, the content, and how he's able to sort of really introduce this into organizations. And this is not abracadabra, the bunny rabbit jumps out the hat scenario. It's a process, it's a structure, it's a process, it's properly planned out. And I can assure you that, knowing from experience of what both organizations do, it is a journey. There's no quick fix. But the one thing is that if it is implemented and you join the dots, you will soar like an eagle. You will absolutely make those amazing changes. But it's not just about the customer to customer end-to-end journey. It's about the people that are involved in each organization.
And how you make those people feel, right?
At Maya Angelou, yeah, absolutely.
And he starts off his course with that exact quote, people don't remember what you said, what you did, but how you made them feel, which was Maya Angelou's great quote. Yeah,
absolutely. And you can turn the most tricky situations into something of a good experience through the power of your etiquette, your manners, your emotional intelligence. And this all ties in to exactly what this is all about. This is your hospitality intelligence. And it takes all those particular points and puts them under that umbrella, really, at the end of the day. It is so powerful.
And Philip, something that I've learned from you, which I think aligns nicely with what Rob is saying, is in order to give that incredible experience to somebody, that's what they're going to remember. Sometimes we have to take a breath and pause before we just react, because having a business, people are always reaching out, and maybe it's not the best moment for us. And if we respond right then, they might remember, oh, that person was a little, a little rude to me, or I didn't get a good feeling from that response. So we have to breathe in, pause, reflect, I think, and then think about how's it going to be perceived when the other person receives this information from me.
Completely. Just exactly what you teach in the Power of Your Listening program, Dr. Jacalyn. Again, what we, right from the 6-year-olds, we teach them and guide them on the 6-second rule. Stop, pause, listen to understand rather than to respond. And, is the timing. Everything is about timing in this world.
Absolutely. Rob, I'd like to ask you, and then Philip, have you weigh in. I have some experience in the hospitality industry. In my corporate career, I worked in the hospitality industry. Not directly, but I sold meetings and events for huge corporations around the world. How do you think the industry has changed, and how does that customer experience, because all through that end to end, whether it's that person at the front desk or it's the server in the restaurant, whomever it is, they're all important. And sometimes people in different parts of the chain of hospitality are overlooked, like in any organization. So how do you think the whole industry has changed as a result of COVID?
Well, it's desperate for that industry because they've taken a knock that was beyond their control and not their fault at all. But I think what they can be encouraged by is that at the end of the day, we are still very social animals. as human beings, and we will be back in restaurants and back engaging with people and at any opportunity. So I think that's a human truth. It's a universal truth that will be here for the next 1,000 years. So hospitality is not something that's going away. I like to say that as humans, we're more like lions. We're not leopards. We're social animals. But one of the first, just to build on your one point there, Dr. Jacalyn, is that the first principle that Danny and I adopt is what he calls hospitality quotient. And he says if you look at most organizations, they recruit you based on your capability or your technical competence. Probably 90% of your appointments are made based on that. He turns it on his head, and he recruits people 51% on their emotional skills and 49% on their technical skills. And he's distilled 6 critical qualities that all add up to somebody who's wired to make you happy. And he says it's not just about front of office, so to speak. It's about everybody. He says, you can be the best chef in New York, but I don't want you on this team unless you've got those 6 qualities that make you someone high in hospitality quotient. And so if one recruits those people, the human need is still there. And I believe that, the hospitality industry will recover strongly.
And thank you, Rob. When I think about you and your wife on that trip and you got this great idea, we do need to be able to go back to hotels and restaurants and have that socialization. It's such a huge part of who we are as human beings. And I love the fact that while you're on vacation, you came up with such a great concept, and look at you today.
Well, that's often the best time to come up with good ideas, because, when we're being bombarded by, I don't know, probably 500 messages a day, just as a thumbsuck number, but a lot. And, you never actually have the time to think. And you have to be very deliberate about it. You look at some of the great guys, the Bill Gateses of the world, they put aside very clear, they block off time to go and read and think. And we all get caught up in the churn, the sort of the treadmill of life. And I have personally grown enormously by embarking on this journey and reading and trying to make myself better.
So just to build on what you said, because I know I find myself working 7 days a week and I have no social life. And I say to myself, how long can this go on? I don't know. So someone at your level, like, how would you mentor me or someone else who is a new business owner and in the trenches? How do you actually draw a boundary or a line and say, okay, you've got to take some time? Because in my mind, I think, well, if I take the time, I'm going to miss out on this, and this, and then you got to keep going. So what are your thoughts on that, Rob?
Well, I don't practice what I preach, because when you start a new business, the one thing you've got is hard work. And I've, having grown up in Unilever and SAB, that's all I know is to work hard. And then I doubled that when I started. So I'm not practicing what I preach, but I think, you can't be all things to everybody. And what I do personally is, my children mean an enormous amount to me, and they have busy lives, which I put certain of their key experiences, events into my diary, and they're non-negotiable. And I go and see those things. And same with my wife as well. And then I've got a list of my friends who I'm going to see, and I just make sure they're in my diary, and those become non-negotiables.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant. Everything needs to be scheduled. I know I work out every day at least once. I try twice, and I put it right there on my clipboard. It's like, nope, that is when I'm working out, and please don't bother me then.
The funny thing is, it's counterintuitive though, Dr. Jacalyn, is that we think that we're going to annoy people, but actually drawing your boundaries to say, sorry, I'm over here, I'm unavailable, I'm doing family things, actually earns you respect. If you're always available, they'll abuse that and phone you at midnight, or whatever the case is. And in my farewell speech when I left SAB, my boss said, now I used to think this irritated him, but I play tennis every Tuesday night. And he said, the one thing is about Rob, I knew if I was going to call him up on a Tuesday night, I'd get no for an answer, because he was on the tennis court. And he admired me for that. He respected me for that. So I actually think it's, we can't just be at everybody's beck and call all the time. And, I love my work. but so I have to drag myself away from my desk quite often. But you've just got to block those times off. That would be my view. But you're a coach. I can't be coaching the coach.
Well, as a coach, I have my own coaches because we have to. Right?
Well, I'm not qualified to coach, so.
How's your tennis game?
Well, I love it, and I'm very fortunate in that I play in a group of guys who are all 5% better than me, and it's a beautiful kind of tension that, because it stretches you. Playing with people, I hate playing with people weaker than me. So I play with every one of my guys I play with had played provincial or national level tennis, and so they drag me up and they pull me up, and I love it. And it's in fact my father and Philip's father played tennis together for probably 50 years. It's a great sport.
That's how our weekends were, Dr. Jacalyn. Saturday afternoon was at the Fleming's home on the day, adults playing, and we would get a chance to go and throw a few rackets around, but we would be swimming, and the afternoon tea would be served. It was just fun memories of our childhood. Literally, that was it. I mean, as way back as I can remember. And whenever there was a great tennis match, Rob's dad, she used to pop over and tea would be served, and they'd be watching a tennis, and then they'd go onto the tennis court or watch a game of rugby. It was phenomenal.
Well, I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with you. I grew up in a tennis family as well. My mom and dad played. I was co-captain of the team in high school. My mom's got the tennis on in the other room right now. So love that game. Love this.
Have you played paddle yet?
I tried it. I didn't like it as much as tennis. It's very different. And but I know my family's obsessed with it. They play it all the time. How about you?
Yeah. We've at our local club, we've just put in a few courts there, and it's the club's exploded. I mean, its membership's gone through the roof, and you can't even get a booking, and it's blown. The food and beverage sales have gone through the roof as well. So it's not the fastest growing sport in the world for nothing. It's great.
Well, I think the reason that I didn't like it as much was because I was really bad.
Practice.
Exactly. Practice.
You can't be bad if you're a good tennis player.
I'm going to put it on the list to practice.
Dr. Jacalyn, I want to go back to that question you asked Rob, and I think we all can learn from this. It is about putting things in the diary and sticking to them, and not, there needs to be within reason flexibility, but it is, I think we've all made ourselves very available over the years, and it is, Dr. Jacalyn, especially you, coming from a very high-powered, very stressful corporate world, and now you're getting this platform and this TV channel and all the other things you're doing. If your energy cup's not full, then you will peter out. And so it is about you being strict. And actually, you talk about coaches. One of my business coaches, he said to me, you've got to block time aside, and no one must interrupt your exercise time, or no one must interrupt your family time. And again, I think we as human beings, we've got so used to digital technology, as in the telephone I'm talking about, and then that ping, 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 and we just jump at every time our phone does something. At 6 o'clock, the phone should go off, and that's it. It gets turned on again, after your whatever it might be, and you can really structure your day that, where you'll get so much more done. You get so much more done. And I use some of, whether it be Siri or Alexa, I literally set alarms during the course of the day if I'm focusing on something, and then I will take a 10-minute break, 15-minute break, take the dog out for a walk, go get some fresh air, come back in and feel invigorated to take on the next task.
Well, I have to take something away from what you just said, because I know the way I am. Not only do I have the two Apple, the iPhones, I've got the iPad, I've got the Mac, and I've got the watch. And so when I go to sleep, I've got all the technology next to me. I've got the watch on, time to stand. Last night it was like 10 of 12, and I set my watch for 560 calories I have to burn a day. So it's like, I had 20 calories left. I'm doing jumping jacks and doing arm circles. It's so ridiculous. But at some point, you have to turn it off, but that's not where I am right now. I just have it on all the time.
It sounds slightly contrived, but you've almost just got to do it. So you block out and you go into the next thing, whatever that is, whether it's playing tennis or having a beer with your friend or reading or whatever the case is. As I say, I don't practice what I preach, but that's the way to do it.
Well, even with the watch, it tracks how many calories you're burning and how many minutes you've worked out. So that's interrupting the actual exercise process too, that, where you're clearing your mind. So
I don't run. I run as well. I don't run with a watch. I run with nothing because I just, that's my time. I escape, and for me, I don't care how fast I run or what I've burnt or anything. Just go for a run for the sake of it.
Mindset, body, health, all that sort of thing. Rob, you were mentioning earlier, which I picked up on, and I know obviously for people to really dig deep into what you are doing in your organization and the results you're achieving, but you talked about 6 things that Danny Meyer sort of looks for within people. Would you mind sort of sharing those six sort of qualities?
Yeah, they're wonderful qualities, and none of them will surprise you. And you actually see them popping up quite a lot in the business literature. But he's figured it out and packaged it into this quality called hospitality quotient. But it starts off with kindness. If you're a kind person, and there's a lot being written about kindness now. You'll want to help people. Secondly, empathy. And I think there's an important distinction to draw here as well between empathy and sympathy. A lot of people think empathy is sympathy, but it's not. They're very different. Empathy is far more of a cognitive construct. It's kind of mentally being able to shift yourself into someone else's shoes and understand what they're going through. But it's not crying with them. Like, that's sympathy. So that's the second one. The third one is self-awareness. We're never always in a good mood. And you've got to know, like, if I'm grumpy today, I must take a double kind of walk away from the situation and draw breath and remain calm, so I don't react to a particular situation. Then the fourth one, which I really like as well, because it links with empathy, is, and Satya Nadella, another one of my great inspirations, is he's got a great quote where he said, empathy and curiosity have driven our business because it's the only way that we can truly understand the unmet and unarticulated needs of our customers, to be curious and empathetic. So curiosity is a great word as well, and it's something that drives hospitality quotient. Then someone who's optimistic as well. You've got to be upbeat. My wife is one of those people. She walks into a room and the whole place lights up. She's got a perpetual smile on her face, and people just love being with her. I see her disarm people all the time with her smile. And then you need someone who works hard too. That's critical. There actually is a 7th one. Danny Meyer refers to as 6, but they're actually 7. And the last one is integrity, which is, do what you said you're going to do. So those are the 6 for 7.
What powerful words. What powerful words. And you can see how that just ties into everything that the organizations are all about. It's just so dynamic.
Rob, I have a question for you. During my corporate career, I was with the senior level executive, and he said to me, how would you describe yourself? Would you say you're a pessimist, an optimist, or a realist? And I said, oh, I'm definitely an optimist. And you just mentioned about your wife and walking in, lighting up the room. And he said, well, that's a shame. He said, because you need to be a realist. And I said, well, I think you have to have obviously some level of that, but I still think you need to be an optimist. And he argued with me and said that was incorrect. I was surprised that I got the job, but what are your thoughts about that?
Well, when I watch my wife interact with people, whether they're old or young, fat or thin, black or white, gay or straight, they all adore her. And for somebody who's positive and optimistic, you just, people are drawn to you. Philip used the word energy earlier, and we are drawn to energy as people. You very quickly avoid someone who's got negative energy. And so, I think possibly physically be optimistic and positive, but don't be naive as well. And I don't think it's either or, Dr. Jacalyn. I think it's a continuum as well. And there are probably situations where you need to have a healthy dose of realism. But if you tend towards positivity and optimism and see the world through positive lenses, the old cliche of, do you see the glass half full? Well, it's probably most of the time it is 50-50 But if you turn it this way, it becomes empty. If you turn it that way, it becomes 80% full. And so, I think if you look at the world that way, without being naive, it's got to be much better. It's, and as I say, I've seen my wife do that all the time.
And I love that. I love this energy. I love, again, look at a potato, how that has turned into vodka. I mean, come on, things like that. And also, what's really fascinating is that a while ago, I was part of a platform where we were talking about hope, inspiration, and transformation. And one of our guest speakers on there was, so many people look at life and say, why is this happening to me? Oh, poor, why is it happening to me? It always happens to me. And she flipped it around and she said, why is it happening for me? Why is it actually happening for me? That was number one. Number two, I was chatting to one of my other mentors the other day, and she said something to me, we're always told, don't bite off more than you can chew. Well, hold on, bite off more than you can chew and chew on it. And then, make a decision. This is, I think a lot of the time we are sort of put down, or not put down within huge intention, but it's just to sort of put people in a situation where you always take a double take. And I used that word earlier, Rob. You jumped out the airplane and you built your parachute on the way down. We've got to learn to jump. You've got to learn to make that effort. You've got to make things happen for you. You can't stand on the top of the hill with your mouth open hoping a duck's going to fly in. It's never going to happen.
When you said that, you prompted a great memory. It's tragic and a great memory. And Dr. Jacalyn, we won the Rugby World Cup in 1995 in South Africa. It was a wonderful moment. Mandela was on the field handing the trophy over, and there are great images of that. And our star player in that team was a guy called Joost van der Westhuizen, and he contracted motor neuron disease. And this man went from one of the most magnificent physical specimens you've ever seen to withering away. And he was often asked, geez, what a tragedy that you, of all people, caught motor neuron disease. And he turned around and he said, no, I was the right person to get it because I've got the profile and my body could last longer. And I've donated my live body to testing. And he subjected himself to very invasive testing because we haven't solved the mystery of motor neuron disease. So he saw this as his great privilege to contribute to humanity. By catching motor neuron, well, I don't know how you catch it, but by contracting motor neuron disease. He saw this dreadful thing as incredibly positive.
That is amazing. We have a comment from Diane Bain. I love, why is this happening to me? And what is doing this for me? I'm going to bite on it and chew on it. Wow. This is a great way to think positive and move forward. Thank you. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Lovely to hear that.
Rob, a question I have for you. You've spoken very highly about your wife, and you shared that you put time on your diary to make sure that you're there for your kids and your wife, and you've been friends with Philip for over 50 years. When you listed the 6 and then the 7th criteria, how important is it that you have a team of people, personally or professionally, that are there to support you and that you support them?
Yeah, I read a great book. I had a good dose of COVID in the Delta variant in the middle of last year. So I got some reading time. And I read a brilliant book. And it's by, I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember the author, but called Essentialism. And this guy says we waste most of our lives. He says, you've got to focus in on the things that bring you joy, the people who bring you joy, the places that bring you joy, the experiences that bring you joy. We spend so much time trying to impress people that we don't like, and it was deeply profound. And it's a book that's really stuck with me. It's called Essentialism. We just have to Google it, guys, if it does interest you. But we are so time poor as humans, and you've just got to put all your energy into those things that bring your life joy and uplift you and make you a better person. And it's not dissimilar to the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of your customers are going to bring you 80% of your business. 20% of the people you hang out with will give you 80% of your joy. And that's a philosophy that I'm trying to live more by.
Thank you. That's fantastic. I also think it's very exciting when I have somebody in my network or my life who's really interested in business. I could talk about business all day long. And then I feel this kinship with them and want to do more things with them. Do you feel the same?
I do. I mean, some of my great friendships have been formed by brilliant brains. I met a guy at Unilever who's absolutely, I mean, in fact, he's the guy who introduced me to Danny Meyer. And, I can't get enough of him. In fact, when I took my friends away for my 50th birthday into the bush, we went on a safari. I said, you're a real eclectic bunch, because I took 12 and they were all from different chapters of my life. And I said, you're quite an eclectic bunch, but actually the common thread with all of you is you're twice my IQ. And I've been drawn to you and drawn to your incredible intelligence because you stimulated me. And then the other one, I worked for at SAB, and he changed my life, actually. He saw a quality in me that I was unaware of, and he pointed it out to me. I mean, this guy is the most brilliant brain I've ever worked with. I mean, he was the CEO of Unilever UK Foods at the age of 30, head of Europe at 33. So taking a compliment from him was amazing. And it was a starting point, but it's one of my greatest friendships now, if not my greatest.
That sounds like a fantastic trip as well for your 50th.
Sorry. Oh, it was amazing. And I'll send you a picture. We had the most brilliant leopard sighting. Leopards are very shy animals, so they're hard to track down. And we spent half an hour looking at this beautiful leopard, and it was wonderful. Yeah. So no, it's my soul place, being what we call it the bush in South Africa. We've got this lodge we go to, and I'm at my happiest there.
Well,
Dr. Jacalyn, just that's such a poignant question that you asked Rob there, and obviously Rob took us into a few areas of his life about people that have influenced, and this is what this is all about. I think here, as we as human beings, just going back to how precious time is, we all given 86,400 seconds each day. How we choose to use that time is up to us, and time doesn't do refunds. It doesn't. When we go to the time bank and there's no time left for us, it's gone. And that's what I think many people are familiar with Warren Buffett. He says, I can pretty much afford anything in this world, but I can't buy time. So health and time are the two most important things we have that we need to cherish. Having said that, surround ourselves with amazing people that are better than us, people that, are growth friends, rather than just that mundane friend, that forced friendship you meet at the school gate, that you never would have actually become friends with that person, for example. So growth friends, people that actually add value to your life, people who inspire you, people who motivate you, people who put you in the spotlight as well, who give you that feeling of feeling uncomfortable. That is what this is all about. And every single one of us had that opportunity to get rid of negativity in our lives and surround ourselves with amazing people.
Phil, that's a great term, growth friends. I'm going to remember that. Incrementum.
And I like that time doesn't do refunds. That's fantastic.
Never. I mean, do we all wish we could wind back the clock to go back and see a friend who's left the world? Or of course we do. But until, Back to the Future really comes to, until Elon Musk creates a Back to the Future, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that's ever unfortunately going to happen. We might be able to speed up going somewhere, and that is I believe on the cards. But, this is, going back to what you were sharing, Rob, as well, is remembering all those incredible opportunities we've had in life, those friendships, those moments. We are also wrapped up in our worlds that we forget to stop and reflect on how privileged and lucky we are. Just by flicking through a couple of beautiful old photographs, remembering a joyous time, whatever it might be, just to trigger us. Because you said, Rob, earlier, there's that treadmill, there's that, we're on that treadmill, boy, and we are going all the time. And especially when we get into those moments of being stressed and we've got a lot of pressure, it's learning to take that step off the accelerator and go and do something completely off the wall. Go and have a warm bath in the middle of the day and or go and watch an old movie that makes you laugh. Something completely, but we're so wired to be on this incredible treadmill.
I call it my Maya Angelou list, Phil.
Yeah.
What are the things that make me feel good? Whether it's people, places, experiences, and I know what those things are, and I chase them.
Love it.
Essentialism.
That word essentialism. Wow, I'm going to pick up that book. That is just so powerful. We waste so much time on. It's just mind blowing, and that time will not give you that refund. And then at the end of the day, we reflect on our lives and did I use my time well? Could I have done a little bit more? And the answer to that, whether we like it or not, is absolutely. And this is, again, going back into, I know I'm going in tangents here, but this is going back into how much time do we waste on our social media? How much time do we waste on our wretched apparatuses?
Very true. And I think it's also perspective. Since the beginning of COVID, my life has changed dramatically. And I'm in Florida now. And I actually lived in this neighborhood for 6 years, about 10 years ago. And I hated it. I dread it. All the creatures here, the iguanas and the opossums and everything. I was always afraid. And now I absolutely love it. And really nothing's changed because it's the same neighborhood. And I look around and go, it's great here. And now I have an appreciation for all of the wildlife because I have a show with a pet psychic, and she's helped me see a different perspective about how beautiful these creatures are. So I think it's, nothing changed in the situation of where I am except my mindset. And I'm really grateful for that.
You stop to smell the roses.
Definitely. And I think in business and in personal lives, it's the same thing. It's how we are looking at it. And again, why is this happening for me? I'm going to remember that. That's really key.
I love it. Why is it happening for me? And the other one is, do bite off more than you can chew in life. Go for it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could possibly happen? What's the most likely? And what's the best outcome? And when we can weigh these sort of things up, we can really start to move forward in our lives.
Definitely true. I'm all for that one. I've been like that my whole life. I just go for it. And whatever happens is going to happen. I'm going to learn along the way. I'm going to definitely make mistakes, which I have, but I've learned from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've just dropped my daughter off at boarding school, and I just said to her, carpe diem, seize the day, grab every opportunity.
Yeah.
So Rob, what's the next opportunity for you?
I have, my firstborn child is a honeymoon baby. And so we have had 9 months in our married life alone. This year, all three of my children are going to be away at boarding school or university. So my wife and I are going to go and have a blast.
I love it. That sounds so much fun. Congratulations. How about you, Philip?
I think you should get her on the show. She'll make you laugh.
Oh, we need to get Amanda on there. She's just phenomenal.
She personifies hospitality.
Yeah, she's just amazing. We will get Amanda on the show. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Jacalyn, what's on the cards? There are lots of things on the cards. Having relaunched, pivoted the British School of Etiquette into the British School of Excellence, we've got a lot of groundwork to do. It's almost, even despite the branding and everything being the same, and the vision, the focus, and the philosophy, the purpose, the why are all there. It's like launching a new project, whether we like it or not, because of, as you can all understand, is that the digital world, it doesn't look at you just being able to just take something out of a box and put it in a different box and continue as it was. So there's a huge amount of effort and work ahead of us. We've got some amazing programs that we're going to be launching this year as an organization, but also on a personal front. I haven't visited my home country in 2.5 years, and I'm going to be spending some time with my family in over the March-April period, seeing Rob and his family, and catching up with some very close friends. So that's definitely on the cards, along with making sure that the family are well looked after and we can spend some quality time together as well. And create memories. We talked about this. Christmas has just left us, and we get to a certain stage in our lives. Well, what do you buy your partner or friend? Create memories, create experiences. That for me, I think, is one of the most wonderful things to be able to do.
Sounds fantastic. I'm happy for both of you.
Yeah. And Dr. Jacalyn, I know with your big move, and you've just launched your new book, which is amazing. I saw that just pop up on my social feed today. So congratulations, second book out.
Oh, really?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Second book
I'm going
out.
to have to read it. I'm going to have to read it. What's it called, Doc? Tell us about it quickly.
My first book is Behind the Green Screen. I came out with that in June, and this new book is coming out April the 4th, and it's called Adversity to Awesome. And I had the the privilege and pleasure of interviewing 12 people who have overcome incredible adversity. So being imprisoned, sex trafficking, addiction, homelessness. And so the book is about their journey. Each of them have a chapter dedicated to them. And it's basically to have people realize that if this person went through this and now they're over here, you can do the same thing.
It is so good.
Amazing. I'm in.
All right, thank you. And I know we're way over time. We've had so much fun. We could just go on and on, but I'm sure you gentlemen have things you have to do. I just was going to announce that I am working on my own fitness line. I'm coming up with courses that involve different ways to work out from home. So there's going to be some elements of trampolining, some elements of hit high impact, and then I have a whole process using yoga and planks and meditation, and I'm looking to start my own fitness line of clothing. So that's on the board to do.
She doesn't stop, Rob. I'm telling you, you've got no idea. You must see what time I know. It's just ridiculous.
Because I don't have a social life. What else am I doing?
I feel inadequate compared to you. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun, and I have wonderful people I work with, especially Philip. Thank you. Rob, it's been great getting to know you. I know there's so much more there. I can't wait to meet your wife. We'll have to have her on, have the two of you on, and I look forward to having you back.
Brilliant. Well, what a privilege to be on your show. I'm really honored, and what a great way to end my week. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And Rob, for people who want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in contact, and who would you like to connect with you?
Well, my email is up on the screen, I see, which is rob.fleming@incrementumza.com. So it's INCREMENTUMZA.com. Or WhatsApp is +27 82 924 2235. And it's a really good question you asked there, Dr. Jacalyn, because in what I found is that the response to my business is quite binary. People love it or they switch off. And the minute I can see someone's not interested, I would prefer not to try and push water uphill with them. But when people get it, they get so excited. And so my business is universal. It works for every business in the world because it's rooted in human truth, and every business has got humans working for it. So anybody who loves the concept of about how you make people feel as a source of competitive advantage for your business, that's the person I'd like to talk to.
And Rob, it certainly sounds like, in addition to everything else that you are and have accomplished, you are definitely an expert, mastery level business strategist and business coach. So don't be surprised if you have people reaching out or like, can you please help me? So that's why I wanted you to define who should reach out, because we don't want everyone and their brother contacting you.
Well, I'm not a qualified coach, but I have many people who ask me for mentorship, but I'm not a qualified coach.
Rob, you're more than qualified. You've got so much experience behind you. You genuinely are. And don't even push back on that one. Just so everyone understands, Fleming is spelled with one M, everybody. Fleming. Rob.Fleming@incrementumza.com. So a lot of people, different ways of spelling Fleming. So, and Rob Fleming is the true RF alongside Roger Federer.
The real RF.
Rob, where are you on social media if people want to connect with you? You're on LinkedIn.
I'm not huge, but I am on Twitter. But I've started using Twitter more as my library. I tend to engage directly with people rather than in a public platform. So my email and my WhatsApp are the best way to contact me.
Okay, there you have it. Thank you very much. All right, Rob, it was wonderful meeting you. And as I mentioned, I really look forward to having you back again. And for people who are just joining us, I see some people just tuned in. You can go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV, and you can find this show. It will be posted to the playlist, which is The Power of Etiquette and Manners. I'll be posting it in the next few minutes after the show. So please do go over there. You can take a look. And Rob, you can also share it from there or from any of the places that we stream. And for whatever reason, we streamed to Twitter, but today it showed that Twitter wasn't working. So we'll post it over there as well.
Super.
All right. Thank you again, Rob. Take care of yourself.
Have a wonderful weekend, Rob. Lovely seeing you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.
Philip, what an incredible, lucky person you are to have this man as a friend. He's outstanding.
He really is genuinely outstanding, and I'm very blessed with amazing friends. A good handful of friends, maybe 2 handfuls of very close friends, and that's what life's about: is really aligning yourself with amazing friendships that are genuine. They've got real solidarity to them. It's what it's all about.
Absolutely. We do have a comment from Donna. Hi, Donna. Nice to have you here on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for all this valuable information, Dr. Jacalyn, Rob, and Philip. Looking forward to following you all and learning more. Have a wonderful weekend. Wasn't that beautiful?
That's awesome. Thank you, Donna.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, Donna. Philip, I'm going to spotlight you and have you share with us what's the best way for people to reach out to you. Tell us a little bit more about upcoming courses if people are interested.
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Actually, upcoming course this Monday, 5 p.m. UK time, GMT. So 5 p.m., I think that's depending which part of the USA you are, but I think we're 5 hours ahead of the USA if you're sort of on that Miami coastline. It's the Polished Professional, where we're focusing on literally professional skills, as in becoming sort of that much more dynamic. So it'll be business etiquette, business excellence. That is next week from Monday, which is, I think, from memory, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. They are 3 1.5-hour sessions live with me on Zoom. So you can reach out to us at hello@thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. We've then got various courses happening the week after with our ETIQUETTE program, which is our trademark name for our children etiquette course, and our mindset and manners for teenagers. And then in March, beginning of March, we're actually going to be running our first live Train the Trainer here out of London, which is hugely exciting because it will literally be going back to what we used to do just over 2 years ago. And that is going to incorporate people from wherever you are in the world joining us in London for 5 full days. There will also be the hybrid opportunity to join us via Zoom into the classroom. So there's lots going on with our organization. And then on the 20th of January, which is next week, obviously, my dear friend, business colleague, and business partner, Richard Cullinan, is starting his emotional intelligence journey 101, EQ 101, which is a 5-week program. It's split over 5 individual weeks of 2.5 hours each week. You get some amazing golden nuggets, surprises over and above that, with some one-on-one coaching and development. And it really is a life-changing program. So there's lots going on. Do take a look at thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Have a look at our YouTube channel, and please feel free to reach out to us on any form, any level.
And I have to say that Richard is an outstanding human being. I'm sure that if you weren't able to see him on the programs before, please, again, go over to our YouTube channel, look for the playlists, The Power of Etiquette and Manners, and sign up for these courses because the content you're bringing is so valuable and pertinent to everyone.
We just, honestly, I know when we said, why should people believe us? But, we've got testimonials, verbal and written, video testimony, but genuinely, these are life-changing opportunities. I'm not just saying it. I mean, Dr. Jacalyn, you and I, we take on we invest a huge amount of money in our personal development and coaching. And I can urge and tell everyone out there that you've got to invest to get a phenomenal return. And if you don't invest and you don't move forward, then that's it. At the end of the day, I always truly believe that old adage in life: if we're born into a family that is where things are tight, as in poor, that's one thing. But if you die poor, that's really your fault. That's up to you to make that difference in this world. And we all have this opportunity. Just as an understanding, yes, fortunate to go to a very nice school, fortunate to be born into a very nice family, who were fastidious about etiquette and manners, and it's opened doors for me right through my life. But my first job, as Rob mentioned, people arriving in Africa with a shirt on their back. I arrived here with a backpack back in the late 80s. My first job was cleaning tables at the Hard Rock Cafe in London, and I did that. And then I went on to run and work behind a bar to get extra money. And, you've got to do what you've got to do to get out there and make yourself, make it happen for you. One person, one opportunity can change your life for the rest of your life, but you've got to show up.
Yes.
You've got to show up.
Definitely. And I love what you said before about taking risk, putting yourself out there. Rob also mentioned about being curious. And just a quick share. When I go for my walks, I always see, usually I see this egret, and it's a bird with very long legs, and the bird is white, and it probably, would come up to my hip. And the bird, I'm thinking it's a she, but she is always alone. This one egret, always turning her head, looking here and there. And I thought to myself, I feel like I'm that egret. I'm always alone, right? But I'm very curious. I'm always looking at what can I do next? And some people would say that's running buffalo, I guess. But I really am very inquisitive and want to continuously try new things. There's certain things I'm not going to try, but when it comes to business, I'm very interested in seeing what else is out there. So Philip, thank you so much for bringing Rob. He was really outstanding, and I learned so much from him. And I hope our audience has really enjoyed this show and is taking a lot away from it.
Yeah, Dr. Jacalyn, we are so blessed and privileged to know amazing people. And it would be criminal not to bring the caliber of people like Rob Fleming, Richard Cullinan, Elsa Butterick, our resident stylist, Lorene Phillips from Bermuda, beautiful Patricia Jonquero from Brazil. These are phenomenal people who've literally taken that leap of faith in life, and they've made it happen for themselves.
Every guest you've brought has been top shelf. So
and it's going to be coming we've got a wonderful lineup coming for this year, that's for sure.
Well, thank you to everyone who is watching and following. Our show remains at the same time here on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern time and at 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. When does the time change again, Philip?
In March. I think we jump forward we spring forward into spring, and we obviously fall back when it's the fall. So at the moment we are obviously 5 hours. Well, you also change your clocks, but I think it's March, toward the end of March from memory. I'll confirm with you very soon.
I like the springing part. I don't like the falling back. I want to spring, keep going.
Spring forward.
All right, Philip, I will let you go. It's been a pleasure seeing you. And also thanks so much to Rob. Just can't say enough about him.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
I am blown away by the level of information that we receive, the amount of experience that Rob has. He truly is an extremely accomplished person and so nice, so kind. You can feel that positive energy radiating off of him. And it says a lot about Philip. Also, the fact that the two of them have been friends for so long. I just love that. We've got more shows coming up today. And in case you weren't aware, we actually are doing our new lineup of programmings for 2022. And so some of the shows that you watched before are at different times. Some are at the same. Coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And again, please add 5 hours for Greenwich Mean Time. We have the United Kitchens. Then at 2 o'clock, we have the Listening Mentor. At 3 o'clock, we have a brand new show called Loving Longevity with my co-host, Annie Bush. And at 4 o'clock, we have Presenting Pet Psychic Amina with the Reverend Dottie Boone. I love that we've got two psychics in the house. And so if you want to have a reading or you have some kind of questions, please do join us again for that show. That's 4 p.m. All right. Thank you, everyone. My last message is our website is up and rocking. So just go over to usaglobaltv.com and you'll see up across the top, book your session. If you want to be a guest on this or any of our other shows, so easy, usaglobaltv.com, book your session. If you want to watch any of our shows, we are live on 11 platforms and then a podcast on 5. Go over to our YouTube channel. What is it? Surprise, USA Global TV. And if you would do me the kindness, just click subscribe. Just little click subscribe. All right. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing everyone back here at 1 o'clock when we have the United Kitchens with celebrity chef and certified nutritionist Ricky McKenna. Bye for now.